Welcome back to another episode of DIY Speed. My name is Isaac, the host and creator, and the idiot. Where I left off in the last video, where did we leave off? Where did we leave off? We got the engine stand sat here, but it's not fully together. Where did we leave off? We left off with getting this engine stand together. It still needs some more welding. This engine is just sitting here with the jack holding it. I don't know, I didn't think of this last time, but it dawned on me after I got the engine finally set down that I should probably use the jack to assist here. And now I got it leveled out and sitting right. Alrighty there, bud. Don't mind the fan in the background. I had to open up the door and aerate the place because it was getting smoky and, well, not the good kind of smoke. I think I got this weld burnt in here. I'll show you one weld. You know, little bubble gum welds. But it seems that this is in here. The moment of truth. Let this jack down. If it all falls with it, then we know what happens. And it didn't move. Hell yeah, brother. I'm actually super excited about that. That is freaking awesome. Oh! That's not going anywhere. Very good. Wow, exciting. Okay, so, I mean, that's pretty much the whole thing that I wanted to do, at least as far as the fabricating side of things. Now, I think I'm going to bring it over to the paint booth and get it all painted up. Well, if you couldn't tell, we're in the painting booth now. And if you don't know why, well, it's the way that it is. Mainly the extra light and the open space. Well, if I do say so myself. Don't worry about the runs. Don't worry about the droplets or the parts that I missed. This is how I came out the factory. Got her fogged out. That looks good enough to me. I'm pretty happy with that. It's been a lot of work to get to this point, but that is complete. I've got bristles, foamy degreaser, tape that I didn't use. And let's clean this puppy up. Well, clearly that's much cleaner than it was previously. I only got a couple cups of water in each cylinder, so not a big deal. I got everything wet. That's how I do things. So in case you need a refresher, this is part of the $150 5.3 LS series that I have going on. I bought this motor for $150. And at the time, I was told it has a knock. It might still have a knock, but pulling the valve covers off of it, it was one of the cleanest engines I've seen of all the ones that I bought. That being said, I'm gonna start this thing before I tear it apart. If it's got a problem, I'm tearing it apart anyways. Everything's dry in here now. Let's talk about intakes. All right, in front of me, I have two intakes, seemingly the same intake. The one on the left is an older return style intake. This really rusty and cruddy one on the right is a newer style returnless, hence no fuel going back, style fuel line. What that means is this has an external fuel pressure regulator diaphragm right here. I believe that's what that is. 99% sure. Comment in the you could comment and tell me if I'm wrong. Versus the newer style had an internally regulated fuel pump. The fuel pump I bought is internally regulated. However, if you look at this crossover tube here on the fuel line, that is totally trashed, just completely rusted. So even though this intake is newer, I don't think that I'm going to use it. I'm going to go ahead and try to use this intake to get it started. I do need to rob some parts off of this. This has the purge valve, and this vacuum line is in better condition than this bad boy over here. And so I'm just going to rob some parts off of this newer, dirtier intake to put on this older. I think what I'm going to do is cap off the return line on here so it doesn't play a part of anything. We don't leak fuel. And then this should essentially just bolt right in. And just like that, the intake is on. Got it all bolted in. Got some of the connections, PCV system. This goes to the radiator. The hose is already chopped, so just stuff to bolt in there. That's hooked up even though it does nothing. I believe this is some type of vacuum line, so I used an OSHA approved drill bit to, or drill extension, socket extension. So yeah, let's hook up the harness. Oh, what am I doing? I forgot something super crucial. The coils. Coil packs are on now. They're starting to look like an engine again. Time to grab the harness. I was trying to do this in one take, but I had to shut the camera off because it took me a little bit longer than I thought to figure this all out. But I'm still not done, but I got most of it hooked up. So let's go through essentials. Let's go through the sensors that I hooked up. Starting at the throttle body, that connection, throttle body connection. Purge valve is hooked up. Injectors are hooked up. Coil harness is hooked up, or the coil plug. Down here, we have the crank sensor. That's hooked up. The oil pressure or oil level sensor, not important. There's some type of ground here that I have to see where I'm going to hook that to. The oil sending unit right here. That's this plug. The cam sensor and a ground that still needs to be hooked up. The stuff dangling right there is for the transmission and an O2 sensor, I believe. We have the injectors hooked up over here and the coil harness as well. Map sensor is hooked up. Don't know what this baby's for, but I'll figure it out. Don't know what this baby's for, but I'll figure that out. What else do we got here? We got the temperature sensor hooked up. There's a ground right here that I have to figure out where that's going to ground to. That's most everything. I still have to go get a fuel fitting disconnect to take, well, this bottom one off so I could cap it off. And then, yeah, I mean, the wiring here, hey, listen, I don't know what that's for. What is that for? I don't see a plug anywhere near here that would go to. But, you know, different trucks for different schmucks. Pretty much ready to, I'm missing, okay, what am I missing? I'm missing the starter, and I have a water pump over there. I'm waiting for a new crank sensor and camshaft sensor, because I might as well just use a good one. I mean, I'll try to start it with this, but if anything funky happens, I'll go switch the sensors out. The plugs were basically brand new, so those are the same plugs that came in the engine. Hope to God everything else works. So a couple of grounds. I got battery connections I have to put in. They're on the ground somewhere. There they are. Stock intake. I have a mass airflow in one of my boxes. We're pretty close, ready to get this thing started and a little bit more work. There's a bunch of connections. I have no idea what they are for. Mainly these ones down here, that this looks like the oil sending unit. Same plug. This is not the plug for the crank sensor. So I don't know if those are super important. Anyways, we'll find out. I still have some wiring to finish up, right? I'm going to wire in an OBD connector so I can plug the laptop in so we can get some live data on it. And yeah, so the next step should be I'll have a starter and the water pump to put on here.